Hey there. Welcome aboard. If you are new to the channel, then please consider subscribing for more upcoming videos. Become Girl with Magic Part 1. Joey and I had been friends for as long as I can remember. I think we met when we were 10 years old at day camp on the shore of Long Island Sound, the summer between 5th and 6th grades. We both had had a bit of the devil in us and had formed a fast conspiracy against the rest of the guys in our group when playing croquet. We would knock away everyone else's balls except our own. Then we discovered that we both liked crabbing, and we would meet after camp or on the weekends to hunt crabs around the pilings of nearby marinas. I must admit that Joey was a better athlete than myself, though not to say that I was incompetent. Perhaps it's because he was a little taller and a little stronger. Though it could be said I was a little smarter, at least it showed up in my grades. As far as looks goes, I do admit that he was a little handsomer than me, what with his blonde hair, blue eyes, and constant smiles, though I was certainly never teased for my looks either. We later went to the same high school, and our friendship remained as tight as ever. Only now, instead of crabbing, we went out sailing together every weekend we could and would fish for snapper and kingfish, oftentimes bringing home a nice dinner for our families. Our camaraderie was especially nice because it had weathered the changes of puberty and junior high school, when we had begun to notice girls. Neither of us had trouble finding dates, and usually we would go out together. But one thing was certain: Joey and I were number one with each other. Nothing could rock our friendship and the time we spent together. Only something did occur, and that's why I'm writing this story. You see, in 12th grade, Joey met a girl named Elise, who began to little by little capture all of Joey's time until there never seemed to be much time left for me. Okay, I understand we all have to grow up and these things do happen, but Elise was nothing very special. I don't think she was pretty at all. She certainly didn't have much of a body. Practically flat, in my opinion, and her personality? Yuck. As obnoxious as they come. So why did Joey let himself get captured by her and hurt our friendship? If you ask Joey, and I did more than once, it wasn't so much what he wanted as the effect that Elise had on him. He still loved me and still wanted to go sailing with me, but somehow he always found Elise in the way. And when he said he needed some time with his male friends, Elise had the balls to wonder if maybe Joey was really gay after all. Why else would two guys go out in a boat all day long for hours and hours and days? What really bowled me over was the news one day that Joey and Elise had become engaged. At first I figured he had got her pregnant, but Joey assured me it wasn't the case. He didn't think he could get any girl nicer than Elise, so he figured it was time to make a commitment before he ended up an old, lonely guy. Can you believe that attitude, and Joey was only a senior in high school? Well, according to Joey, he has 3 uncles who never married, and he thinks it runs in his family to end up an old bachelor. And knowing how lonely they are and all their medical problems from not getting fed and loved by a good woman, he was determined to avoid that mistake. Of course, you and I know that this is all rubbish. Joey could marry any of 100 girls nicer than Elise, girls who wouldn't smother him, but I couldn't convince him of that even though I talked until I was blue in the face. Now I was very depressed about Joey. My life had become empty and I missed his company just terribly. I know I'm not gay, but I really do love that man. We'd been together, inseparable for so many years, and I had fallen into a very worrisome depression. One day, a Saturday in spring, as I was just moping around the house feeling sorry for myself as usual, the phone rang, and since no one else was home, I answered it. It turned out to be my grandma who lived by herself in Manhattan. Grandpa had died a few years back, leaving her very well cared for. A nice apartment near Gramercy Park and a chance to travel and live to the fullest. She must have known I would be home alone. My parents had been worrying about me and must have said something to her. Listen, I want you to come into the city and visit me. I need you for something. Grandma, I know you don't need me. You just want me to get my mind off Joey. Come. But Grandma? Come, I'll see you for lunch. And she hung up. I had no choice, so I got myself to the train station and took the next Lear train to Manhattan, and then a cab to her apartment. I was there by noontime. Come in, my dear, she said, giving me a hug. Hi, Grandma, I said limply. Good to see you. Come in and sit down for lunch, she said, and we sat down at her large dining room table facing an expansive window overlooking Gramercy Park. My favorite grandson doesn't feel so good, does he? You know why I'm not happy. It's all about Joey? Yes. So what's the problem? He's gotten engaged to his girlfriend Elise and never sees me anymore. You know how close we've been our whole lives. Now in just a couple of months, that horrible girl has squeezed him out of my life forever. I can't believe it happened. With that, I began to fight back tears and actually let out a sob, which made me feel very foolish. Grandma is an imposing woman. Though just 5'5", she carries herself erectly despite her years, and wasn't shy about displaying her more than ample bosom in attractive suits with skirts. Now she sat up fully and looked hard at me. Let me be truthful, my dear. You'll never get Joey back the way you are now. Boys eventually end up with girls, and that's just the way the story goes. If she thought this was comforting, she was very mistaken because it made me even more weepy. However, there is no reason why you couldn't be the girl that Joey falls in love with. The words didn't make sense to me, and my brain went around and around in circles trying to understand them. Finally, I said, "Huh? You could be the girl that Joey falls in love with. I mean, he could fall in love with you instead of Elise." Grandma, are you suggesting I pretend I'm a girl to get Joey? I mean, beside the fact that I don't look at all like a girl, Joey would be the last guy in the world to want to date a guy in drag. Don't think I'm so stupid. I'm talking about you becoming a real girl, and I mean the change would be permanent. There would be no going back. What? Some sort of massive surgery? Then I'd look like Frankenstein when it was all over? I don't think any amount of surgery could make me into a desirable woman. And certainly Elise is not that bad looking. No, just listen to me. You, or any other man for that matter, can turn into a girl, as if by magic, if you just do exactly what I say. It does take an extreme form of concentration and desire. Probably more determination than even the Marines experienced during basic training at Paris Island. But I'd be here to help you and show you how it's done, to egg you on, and perhaps, if we're very, very lucky, we'll succeed, and you'll become a beautiful granddaughter. Maybe even by 5 this evening. Then you could go back home and tell Joey that his same best friend he's always had is now in the body of a beautiful woman, and he could then get rid of Elise once and for all to be with you. I listened speechless. The scientific possibility of this making any sense seemed negligible to me, but still she seemed so sure, and she didn't give any impression of being crazy. Life as a woman seemed to be an extreme sacrifice to make in order to be with Joey. But I couldn't think of any rational reason why life as a woman should be any more unpleasant than the life I have now. I would still have my same brain, and nowadays women get to play as many sports as men do. It would be kind of freaky having babies, maybe, but also a fascinating experience. But what about Mom and Dad? I've already told them about it, and they had no objection. They're just anxious to see you happy again. This seemed impossible. How could my own parents be so blasé about me becoming a woman? Well, what's it going to be? Here she is pressuring me to make such a huge decision. Grandma, don't pressure me! I'm sorry, but today is the perfect day due to it if we're going to do it. All the stores are open, the weather is perfect, and besides, tomorrow I'm leaving on a 4-week-long trip to Germany. I wanted to see the reunited Berlin before I die. It was all very sudden, but I was so far down I couldn't see how I could possibly do myself any harm. If I was lucky, it would turn out for the better. I'd permanently get rid of Elise, and Joey and I could resume our friendship. Suddenly, the image of Joey and I out in the Sound, fishing together as husband and wife, popped into my mind, and it looked so good I just blurted out, "Okay, Grandma, I'm willing. How do I become a girl?" Grandma was positively beaming. It's not going to be easy. You have to absolutely want it so badly you can burst. You have to get your mind at the deepest possible level of introspective concentration, and then from that state, you begin to alter the chromosomes in each and every cell of your body. In fact, it was your late grandfather who discovered the possibility of this change just before he died. He told me about it on his deathbed, and so you see, I've always wondered if his insight was true or not. Your situation with Joey seems like the perfect occasion to find out if he had really been onto something. The medical fact that he realized is that since we are all destined to naturally be females, and it is only a slight alteration caused by the Y chromosome which converts females to males, it should be possible to retroactively put the cat back into the bag, so to speak. In other words, undo the effect of the Y chromosome. This is possible since the XY pattern is unstable to small perturbations. Basically, if one can force the change to occur in just one small part of the body, a chain reaction then ensues, which spreads the change to all the other cells. In fact, your grandfather realized that transgendered people probably have had an arrested chain reaction, where at some occasion when they were children, the reversing toward womanhood began in the brain, but suddenly stopped for some unknown reason. Thus, such people live thinking they are women in men's bodies. Of course, the chain reaction is irreversible since the double X chromosome is a fully stable state. Wow, Grandma, it sounds like Grandpa was a genius. I do think he was. As you know, I miss him terribly. But let us not be dragged down by those thoughts. The fact of the matter is, we now have the wonderful opportunity to show that he was right. What's the first step? The first step is that you have to do everything I say without hesitation, because hesitating will only mean a lack of desire on your part, and then the change can't possibly succeed. Do you promise to do everything I say with absolute enthusiasm? And most particularly without concern for anybody else in the world except yourself? I'm ready, Grandma. I'll do everything you say. Okay, empty your pockets onto the table and come with me. We have some shopping to do. If you enjoyed it, then be sure to subscribe and join our little community.